Will I get alimony in my divorce case? Here's the thing, if you're in Texas, no. Alimony is not really a thing. I guess you can do contractual alimony, like you agree to it, so maybe in that instance, but probably what you're really asking is, am I entitled to spousal maintenance in the middle of my divorce or after my divorce is over? So spousal maintenance is what they call it in Texas, when what you've seen on TV and everything is alimony. It's where you get some ongoing support to the other party in a divorce case for a certain amount of time, for a certain set of reasons. So let me explain. I think you need to consider that this is more the exception than the rule. So if I had to say 50-50 chance, are you going to get it? No. I mean, in general, probably not, because it's only available in limited circumstances according to the Texas Family Code. And for instance, one of those things is, in general, you need to have been married at least 10 years to qualify for spousal maintenance. And the person receiving the maintenance has to show that they're not able to meet their minimum reasonable needs to continue to support their life, and that they're trying to meet their minimum reasonable needs, right? So a duration, long marriage, you don't make enough money, or the person who wants the child support or spousal maintenance doesn't make enough money, and they're trying to make enough money, then you may be entitled to get spousal maintenance. And the way that this will usually come up is your lawyer is going to put that in those initial divorce pleadings, like, hey, we've got a 10-year, 15-year marriage, and we need spousal maintenance so that this person can continue, get back on their feet. And most cases, right, they don't go to trial. So it's going to come up in mediation. And at mediation, what's going to happen is you're going to have, right, two different people, or two sets of the lawyer and the client, and then you and your lawyer and a mediator in different rooms. And it's going to go back and forth between them of you're going to be arguing, hey, I need spousal maintenance. I've been a stay-at-home mom for the last 10 years. I used to have this great job, but I'm going to need some time to get back on my feet. He makes plenty of money. We've been married for 15 years. Maybe he cheated on me too, so we've got a fault issue. They're going to ask for spousal maintenance. But here's the thing. It's not like in other states. It can't go on forever. There's a limit if you've only been married in the 10-year window of 5 years. And there's a limit on how much money it can be. It can only be up to $5,000 or 20% of the person paying's gross income. And whichever one of those is less. It's you don't get the greater, okay? So 10-year marriage, only 20%, caps out at $5,000, and only if you can't provide for your own minimum reasonable needs. But then, okay, so you're at mediation and you're requesting, hey, I want spousal maintenance. I want 5 years. I want the full $5,000 because he makes or she makes all of this money, and I've been a stay-at-home. It's going to take me a while to get back on my feet. Okay, you're going to ask that. The other side is going to say, no, thank you. How about we do 1 year and we do $2,000, and you have to prove you're looking for a job this many times over the year or something, right? So what happens is you go back and forth, and I demonstrate that to say, though the other party's worst day in court, like $5,000 at 5 years max, it's probably not what they're going to settle on at mediation, or why not just go to court and get it there and take their chances. So probably you're going to negotiate something more depending on the facts, 2 or 3 years, $2,000 or $3,000 is a lot more likely to occur than the full 5 for the full 5. That makes sense. The things you want to consider too are your responsibilities to the kids, your current lifestyle. For those factors, you would think I shouldn't have to give up my entire life. I shouldn't have to stop being a stay-at-home parent with the kids. I should be able to still live in my same kind of house, the same kind of lifestyle I've used to. And in other states, that is how it works. But that's not how it works in Texas. It doesn't matter that lifestyle to which you're accustomed. The rules are the rules. The same way it works in child support, right? The legislature values bright line and clear rules to make decision in this kind of an area. So it may not be the most equitable thing, but at least it's clear and you have an idea of what's possible so that you can make educated decisions when negotiating at mediation and deciding whether it's worth going to trial over it or not. But at the end of the day, I don't think you want to count on that as the option. So like if you're thinking of getting divorced or you're in the earlier phases of it, you need to start planning now for how you're going to support yourself and your kids for the foreseeable future. And relying on this other person to pay all of your bills is probably not going to happen. At least a court's probably not going to order that to happen. You can agree to something more, and that does happen, where there's this big disparate earning power between the two parties. Like somebody makes several $100,000s a year and somebody makes 40,000. Like sometimes you can go over, and there are different reasons why you may do that. Like if there was the presence of domestic violence, or we have a disability in the spouse or the children, like some of those things could change it. But generally speaking, that's how spousal maintenance works in Texas. Now, if you've been married for longer than 20 years, like a really long marriage, the duration of the maintenance can go up to 7 years. Like it can increase. There's a table. But generally speaking, I would say people getting divorced who are asking about spousal maintenance have been married more in like the 10 to 15 year range. But yeah, that's how it works. If you don't agree to more at mediation, the code says we're maxing out at 5K or 20%. And like, that's kind of that. At mediation, you can agree to whatever you want. You can agree to 10, 20, 50, whatever, for however long you want. But if the law would only give you or make you pay $5,000 for 5 years, your willingness to do $10,000 for 10 years is probably not going to be that much unless the other person has some kind of big leverage on you, like why you don't want to go to trial. Or maybe you do feel like that's fair. Like I invite you to consider whether that is fair. Like, are you married to someone who gave up their career, who's been staying home with the kids for 20 years, and all of a sudden you're going to give them 3 years at $5,000 a month when you've been living in a multi-million-dollar a year lifestyle? Like, now here's one of the things to consider, and this is important when you get in those bigger estates. The court will consider the amount of property you're going to take out of this divorce into whether they're going to give spousal maintenance at all. So if you're going to get a bunch of money out of the estate, you may not get any spousal maintenance whatsoever. If the court would say, like, you've got enough of this money coming out of the divorce, you don't also need spousal maintenance. People from other states are always very shocked by the way the Texas stuff works because it's a bit draconian, it's a bit rigid and strict. Again, the Texas law just favors, at least I guess. Take it up with the guys in Austin, not your divorce lawyer. Like we didn't make the rules. We're just here to learn them and help you understand them so that you can make good decisions for you and your family. But if you're asking this question and you got to this video, I'm really going to suggest you talk to a divorce lawyer who's going to be straight with you. Because I'll hear a lot of times people like, oh, well, this lawyer told me, whatever. And I don't know if this happens, right? Because I don't go around having a bunch of divorce consults. But if what clients tell me when they had other meetings with other lawyers is true, other lawyers will make it sound a lot simpler and a lot easier to get spousal maintenance than it necessarily is. Like it's, oh yeah, that's a given. It's not like, yeah, that's a given. I mean, there are circumstances where it's a lot more likely. And at mediation, if the person who would have to pay spousal maintenance really wants a divorce to get done faster, now that's a lever you can pull to try to get more to get it done now, because going to trial takes a lot longer. But all of these things are pretty nuanced, more than you're going to get like in a general, video. But a lawyer can help you really think through the specific facts about your situation, how the law would apply to you, like where you fall in the table, look at tax returns, help you figure out actual numbers before you even file. And that's a good piece of advice, because some people go file for divorce before they're ready. Like they don't get the information together to even know, like, what would my budget be? Like, where would I have to live based on the amount of money I'm going to have on child support, spousal maintenance, maybe, and my salary, to figure out how I'm actually going to do my life. And so that's why, like, at least at our firm, if you talk with us before we ever file the paperwork, we can help you think through those steps. And sometimes we may say, look, you need to get a different job. Like you may need to do A, B, C, X, Y, Z to get yourself in a position where you're financially ready to do the divorce, kind of depending on how bad the situation is that you're in. But this one can get dicey. You can get in deep pretty quick, but the way that spousal maintenance law works may surprise you. And I think a lot of the spousal maintenance misinformation comes from what you hear about on TV or e-news or on Instagram about like, oh, these celebrities split and she gets $700,000 a month in child support or spousal maintenance or alimony or whatever. Okay, a couple things might be going on there. Number one, they may live in California. Remember, each state's laws are different. And California's laws about this are very, very different than the laws in Texas, okay? So keep that in mind when thinking about where you live and where you're going to file for divorce, on which side of the coin you're going to be. Are you going to be the payor or the payee in this situation may decide where you take that next job. The other thing is those celebrities may have a prenuptial or premarital agreement that specifies in advance, if we get divorced, you're not going to be entitled to, half of all the gajillion dollars I made making some new Marvel movie, right? But you would get this certain amount of money per month for like every year that we were married, or an equivalent amount of years after the marriage ends that we were married. So like, you can change the way the law looks with a premarital, postmarital, or what people call like nuptial, prenuptial, or postnuptial agreements. You can do that, but the way the law actually works may surprise you. So don't believe everything, that you see on Facebook, that you read in the news, and, it may apply to a celebrity, but it may not apply to the rest of us.